Today I'm going to talk about astral shells. It's a concept that people have, that when we die, there's this other part of ourselves, like a shell that continues other than the spirit. Let me explain this, because like when we die, we shed our body, and in the same way we would remove our clothes, for example. So, you know, we take off the body. And at the same time, we also shed our astral body. That's the part that acts as the interface between the physical body and the spiritual. It's like the in-between. It's like the pranic body. This is the energy body. This is the part that actually allows us to use the will to move my hands and things like that. It's the thing that makes the brain function. It's the interface between the spirit and the physical. So it's not quite gross matter or spirit. I suppose we could call it like in a way, like our spiritual underwear. You know, it's between the spirit and the physical body. What makes it work. It's its interface. Now, some mystical teachers say that after death, this astral body actually separates from the physical body, right? And also, at the same time, from the spiritual body, the causal body. So it's on its own. It becomes like its own astral shell that has no inherent consciousness of its own. It doesn't think, it doesn't contain our personality, and yet it may occasionally manifest as a ghost. So it's like a duplicate of yourself, a doppelganger. The Hindus call it the Bhuta, and when it's released as a sort of separate energy from the body and the spirit, and they actually can think of it to be something quite like a devil. Indeed, it's mischievous type thing. Indeed, a lot of practitioners of black magic, for example, and the black arts, use these discarded astral shells as a vehicle for their own sorcery. So unlike this a zombie thing, unlike the tulpas of Tibet, which are like created by intensive visualization, these entities have their own will, they can be animated. And the tulpas have a sort of material basis to them because they're done by visualization. But this is what's left by the dying body. So according to other occultists like Helen Blavatsky, you know, she founded the Theosophical Society in 1875. And she says that after the death of the physical body, this astral body continues as a sort of an entity. And it remains near the deserted physical body until its energy is finally dissipated, right? So occasionally it might become visible to people. You know, you might actually see this astral shell, and that's what a lot of people think ghosts are, that they're discarded, like this spiritual underwear I talked about, this discarded part of herself. But if she's right about this, it may mean that once you enter the spiritual state after death, I mean, it's quite possible that you'd not only see your physical body laying there, which is probably bad enough in itself, but also you see a phantom duplicate of yourself hovering around your corpse. Now, I've not heard that often through near-death experiences, so it's making me wonder. And I would also anticipate that it would be quite a hard experience seeing your own corpse, let alone meeting the astral equivalent of yourself at the same time. But, you know, I've not seen that in near-death experience accounts. So again, is this just theoretical? You know, you might want to make a comment about this below. And the Blavatsky and the Theosophists also claim that because of this, that mediums are not actually communicating with spirits at all, but we're talking to these astral shells that contain sort of like part of the memories, impressions of the departed persons. We kind of get our psychometry like from it. And the enigmatic Christians actually take this whole argument a much bigger step further and claim that these astral shells are animated by demons that wish to trick us into believing that we're communicating with the real spirits, i.e. they're saying everything that mediums communicate is just imposters, familiar spirits they call it. Now, their intent is to lead us away from the paths of righteousness and into hell. The intent of these demonic people is supposed to be do this. Okay, so, you know, now. But there's a lot of things completely wrong with this whole concept. There's a lot of flaws to these arguments. I mean, the first thing that comes to mind, and these ideas and arguments are put forward by people who are not mediums. They're not mediumistic at all. And they've got no, in most cases from these Christians I've met, they have no direct experience of what it's like to make a communication with a spirit person or sit with a medium. And when the spirit links, for example, when I do it, I become aware of the whole of the spirit. I feel the whole spirit person. I sense their memories, I sense their thoughts, I get their feelings, and their feelings of love towards the person in front of me, you know, and they give messages that are meaningful. And the evidence they convey is often filled with lots of things like humour, and it creates with it that, you feel with it. When you're doing a communication, you feel the whole weight of the human personality there. You feel the whole person there. This is not an animated astral shell. This is a complete, fully functioning consciousness that us mediums are in touch with. So these ideas of familiar spirits, to me, I think it's more about there's an agenda behind it, because us mediums can give evidence about people's lives, for example, and we can occasionally tell things about the situations that an astral shell would not have encountered. Because they would only know things up to the point that they actually died, wouldn't they? If this is just a memory shell, then it wouldn't know anything beyond that point they died. So it would only be able to give messages up to that point. So it would be, that's a proof to me, one more reason, that these are not astral shells. However, spirit communicators know all about what has taken place since their death. And they will often tell us, the sitter, what they've been doing just before they came for the reading, for example. What they were doing, what they said to each other on the way to the consultation, things like this. An astral shell wouldn't be able to pick that information up. And why should a demon in the first place want to ever animate one of these astral spells and impersonate someone that you love? Many of the people who come to us with their, go away with their Christian faith restored. They start to believe in something more. They start to believe in a spirit world. They have a new renewed interest in actively making God part of their life. So these demons aren't doing a very good job, are they? If that's what it's all about, according to what those people say. Too much importance has been made of the astral shell, or familiar spirits, as the Christians call it. It's usually from those who have a vested religious interest in undermining mediumistic stuff and in undermining the whole philosophy of mediumship. And it's probable that there's a residual energy there, yes. But this dissipates quickly after the death of the physical body. I feel that the Chinese Taoists perhaps have it right. The Taoist philosophy of China, when it comes to the closest about this matter in some respects, they talk, in Taoism, they talk about the spirit, the soul, has two parts. It has the yang part, which is the sort of like the spiritual part, and the yin part, which is the kind of the physical body part. The energy of the two is the spirit is divided into two, and at physical death, the spirit, the yang, leaves the body and goes to the spirit world. It goes to God. The yin, the earthly part, returns to the earth and is no more. So we when we die, our spirits go to the spirit world. And there's a residual energy that's left, that interface between the physical body I talked about and the spirit body, that bit in between that's left, that interface is still there, it's still an energy field, and it's probably quite quickly dissipates after death. I'm not so sure it could appear as a ghost, maybe it could. I'm not 100% sure whether it could be animated by using evil black magic and things, perhaps it could, But certainly I know that mediumship is not in touch with that. Mediumship is in touch with the whole personality, the whole spirit. It's a fully conscious, functioning entity that us mediums connect with. What do you think? Do you think I'm right with that? I'm sure those that have encountered mediums would probably agree with me. I'm sure a lot out there who are sort of wrapped up in their belief systems may disagree. I'd like to hear your comments. Please put something in the comments below, and because I like to answer them, I love to see people's debates. And don't forget to like this page, and do follow our page, because we're always coming up with new stuff. And you can read more about this and many other ideas in my book that's called What to Do When You're Dead. A funny title, but serious messages in it. So you can get that from Amazon. Okay, thanks for listening. See you next time. Is death the end, or does a new world await us? In my book called What to Do When You're Dead, I examine the evidence for life after death. Drawing on the insights of spiritual traditions, the latest scientific research, and my own work as a psychic medium, you are shown what the afterlife is really like. What happens after death is so unspeakably beautiful that our feelings and imagination cannot come close to expressing it. At death, we enter a world filled with magical light, ethereal sounds, and magnificent landscapes that are beyond anything we have ever experienced. As we enter this dimension of the multiverse, our surviving consciousness opens to a state of blissful being that is incomprehensible to the narrow awareness of earthly life. We will all be going there, so isn't it time you read the manual to find out what it's really like? The book, What to Do When You're Dead, tackles the big questions of life, the reason for death, and the final purpose of existence. Its aim is to help you to overcome the fear of death by preparing for the afterlife. What you'll read is not fantasy or religious belief. It's based on verified information revealed through spirit communicators and from those who have had near-death experiences. It is complemented by the mystical teachings from multiple spiritual traditions and ancient teachings. You will come away with answers to many questions and gain insights about what it's like to die and awaken in a new world. The book explains that we are not the body and that after death we can travel in a body of light. The book will challenge you and I hope also inspire you to investigate the wonders of life after death. What to Do When You're Dead is available now through Amazon or my website at psychics.co.uk.